Surprisingly positive outlook was the headline I ran last week in my Diamond Gems weekly newsletter, and it caught one or two of our subscribers off guard. They told me they're not seeing the positive, and other analysts in the diamond industry have also given a more skeptical outlook recently, as I have in previous communications. So what gives, Avi? Is it good or is it bad? Is the sky falling, or are we cruising along just fine? As with everything in the diamond market, one has to look at these things in context and recognize there are different areas of the market that give off different energies at different times of the year. My surprisingly positive outlook headline was in reference to a roundup of various events relating to the US retail market that week. Among them, Signet Jewelers, the largest seller of jewelry in the United States, signaled a return to growth. The Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 0.5 percentage point, which effectively puts more money in the consumer wallet ahead of the holiday season, is good timing. MasterCard and Deloitte each gave reasonable outlooks for the holiday season, with MasterCard predicting that affordable bling would be one of the drivers of growth. Then there was the news that De Beers appointed Sally Morrison to lead its marketing programs in the US. There's been a notable rise in diamond category marketing this year, and Sally's appointment suggested there is some momentum in implementing those campaigns. So that's where the positives came through. And I do think there is some quiet optimism for jewelry sales this holiday season, particularly among the top tier jewelers in the United States. But there are several questions that we always keep in mind when thinking about retail and its impact on the rest of the industry. The first being the diamond content in the jewelry that they're selling. The second is the traditional question whether lab-grown will continue to take market share from natural diamonds. And finally is the issue of inventory levels among retail jewelers. How are they managing those inventory levels, both going into the holiday season and after? That would be the extent to which they'll replace sold inventory come January and February. And that's a bit of a segue into the more pessimistic part of our story, because here we shift to the midstream and the upstream, the polished and the rough markets, which continue to be squeezed, there's no doubt about it. And when we talk about retail inventory replenishment, we're asking, will jewelers sell enough diamond jewelry that it will force them back into the wholesale market for meaningful buying from diamond manufacturers and dealers? Again, there's no question the midstream is under pressure. Their inventory levels are historically high. Manufacturers have pulled back from buying rough. De Beers combined 2 sites into one, which took place in September, and we're still not seeing a real appetite to buy rough that would be fed into the polishing factories. And the reason is that in general, the midstream has sufficient inventory to satisfy immediate demand, even now as we begin the fourth quarter and they haven't been manufacturing at those same traditional levels. And there are broad categories of diamonds that are not sellable at the moment and have been sitting in inventory for some time. Of course, the net result is that polished prices continue to soften, and that puts pressure on profit margins of manufacturers and dealers, putting into question their ability to operate, to employ, to plan for the future. Are their businesses sustainable in this environment? And it affects the mining companies as well, as we've seen with De Beers effectively cancelling a site and still allowing flexibility for site holders to buy less than their original contracts would require of them. De Beers has built up a sizable stockpile of rough inventory itself that it needs to reduce at some point. So keep an eye on those production forecasts for the rest of this year and going into next. I expect global production will continue to decline. There are reports of the same type of energy at Alrosa, and particularly the smaller commercial quality producers have expressed their concerns about the market. Burgundy Diamond Mines asked for help for its Ekati mine from the government of Canada's Northwestern Territories as it struggles to navigate these market conditions. Botswana's Okavango Diamond Company has cancelled its November and December sales. The list goes on, and it's all very telling. And so I don't want to harp on the negative, but we have to recognize these forces. But what are we to make of these conflicting messages we're getting from different parts of the market? We have to remember, though, that the flow of the diamond industry, the pipeline, stems from retail. If more diamond jewelry is sold by jewelers, there is a ripple effect to lift the rest of the distribution chain. But the improvement cannot be incremental in this environment, especially considering the experience of the last 2 years, the slowdown, and the headwinds that the industry continues to face. Slowdown in China, inflation continues to impact household spending in the United States, and lab-grown diamonds, of course. So for the mining sector and the midstream dealers and manufacturers to feel the effect of a surprisingly positive retail outlook, 2 things have to happen. The first is that midstream polished inventory needs to be contained. There is an effort to do that with less rough coming onto the market. That's a supply control. The second element is the more important one, coming from the demand side, that there needs to be a significant improvement in diamond jewelry sales at the retail level that, as I explained, would then stimulate activity through the rest of the pipeline. And I do feel there is more of an effort to bring about that improvement this year than we've seen in previous years, with the marketing collaborations between De Beers and Signet Jewelers, for example, the Natural Diamond Council tying in with various US jewelers. So no one's hiding under a rock here. The industry is going through some challenging times, there's no doubt about it. And I didn't even touch on some of the existential issues it is facing. But as we enter the fourth quarter, as we've begun the fourth quarter, the focus now shifts to retail. Not only in the US, by the way, we have the Diwali festival coming up in India, where there is a very positive expectation for jewelry sales. On the other hand, we are still skeptical about China, as the Hong Kong show didn't inspire confidence for a sudden recovery in that region. But the US is our most important market, accounting for just over half of global diamond jewelry sales. And I believe there are positive signs and developments at retail there that will surprise on the upside. Hopefully, to the extent that it will pull the industry up from the lulls that we've experienced so far in 2024 and stemming back to 2023. So the sky is not falling, but neither are we just cruising along. We can't afford to. It's a nuanced dynamic, and sometimes the sentiment that we feel depends on where we sit in the distribution chain. So let me know what you're experiencing. How is sentiment in your segment of the diamond and jewelry market? As always, I appreciate your support and feedback. And if you're enjoying my content, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. It's all appreciated. I'm Avi Kravitz. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.